It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Keatsman in for an hour on this Friday, leading you up to the Vince Show. We got some tasty topics today, a lot of things to cover, including I think we know why officials at Brown University were hiding what they knew about the killer on their campus and what happened, because it turns out, we'll talk more about this later, the informant that led to the killer was a homeless man that attended Brown University. It's like, what? We can't be an Ivy League school and promoting the fact that a homeless dude led us to this guy and he's a Brown grad or went to Brown at one point. I don't know. Sometimes you just have to laugh at things that you see. It's crazy for sure. Trump finishes the week strong. We're going to get into that next half hour. And, of course, we will check in with Mark at the end. Our dead stone cold locks of the week will be in. We are 5 games over 500 so far this year. So you've probably made a couple of bucks if you've been listening to our locks. And I'm curious to find out what Mark's is today. But I'm the guy that has to follow Mundo in the morning. And I do this every single day. And what an incredible interview he had with Ty Masterson earlier today, who is running for governor and is part of this effort to lure the Chiefs and Royals away from Missouri and into Kansas. And the news that happened yesterday from Masterson's office and officials in the state of Kansas that the Chiefs will be in on the Legislative Coordinating Council meeting on Monday at 1 o'clock in Topeka. They will bring plans for a new domed stadium in Kansas at the Legends, it's been reported, in KCK. You may recall on this show a few weeks ago, I reported they were negotiating an agreement with the France family that owns NASCAR to purchase that land. And I believe that on Monday they'll be able to show the state of Kansas that they've got the contract to purchase that land, what it costs, the parcel that they want, what they want to build. They'll bring and show everything to the state of Kansas, and I think it will easily pass this committee on Monday, and the Star Bonds will be approved for the Chiefs. Whether or not they leave that on Monday and make an announcement that they're moving to Kansas is another thing entirely. That, I'm guessing, will be somewhere weeks, if not months, down the road. They will have until June 30th to finalize their plans and put the Star Bonds into effect. That's when they would potentially get funded. The Chiefs have previously hired multiple companies to begin work on the best possible deal, and that's one of the things they'll present to the state of Kansas on Monday as well. They hired a firm that's basically, it's not only an agent firm, but they work with sports teams as your negotiating arm to work with, for example, there's 4 or 5 architectural firms in Kansas City that could design this new stadium. It's impossible to believe that one of the Kansas City firms won't get the deal, but this outside firm that they hired several months ago has the task and the job of getting bids from all these architects and engineering firms to get the best possible deal. They will show some of that to the state of Kansas on Monday as well to satisfy the politicians on this committee that indeed they are going to be cost conscious. I think you probably know that about Clark Hunt. He will still be on the hook for a third, or not quite a third, 30% of this stadium, and he will not want to spend 1 penny more than he has to. So they'll be good partners in that way. But it appears on every level that the Chiefs are done at Arrowhead Stadium. I think that's the big headline to come out of this thing. They're making the move. They're serious about this. They're going into committee. They're accepting the Star Bond and giving their proposal on Monday. Whether or not we learn all of the details about the stadium and then where their complex will be, there will be a complex in Kansas as well that will qualify for Star Bonds. I reported many months ago on this show that they had contracts on 5 different pieces of land in Kansas. Many of those expired, and they let them expire. The one that I had been told the Chiefs were most seriously looking at was at I-435 and Johnson Drive in Western Shawnee. Obviously, that would be easy access to the stadium if it were at the Legends. But now it sounds like much of this has to do with land in Olathe that is not far from Pete Mundo's house. And it's basically where the Garmin soccer fields are. If you know where that big soccer complex is at K10 and Ridgeview Road, there's a whole bunch of land to the south there that I think Pete says there's cattle on that land right now. That checks out. And that's where the Chiefs would build their corporate offices, their indoor practice facility, their practice fields, and everything that they do in what would be very, very secure. At one point, the Chiefs were talking about modeling their facility, not their stadium, their facility after what the Dallas Cowboys have done in Frisco, Texas. It's called the Star, and it is a really cool entertainment district where the Cowboys go to work every day and practice, and it's Cowboys themed, and there's a Cowboys Hall of Fame, and there's interactive things for kids to do, and football teams go there and they get to practice on the field. They have, I believe they've had state championship games at the mini stadium that they have at the Star. They've built all this. It is an ode to Texas football, owned by the Dallas Cowboys and the entire district around it. That's what the Chiefs were eyeing, what the Cowboys have done. There's plenty of room at this site to do all of that. Now, whether they're going to propose to Kansas on Monday, listen, we're building an entertainment district around where we practice every day, and that's going to be a Star Bond area that's taxable, and we're going to bring additional revenues to this area. I don't know that answer, and I don't think anybody knows that answer, but there's already infrastructure there and things in place that would lead you to believe that this is possible. There's a lot of traffic in eventually a road that's going to have to be widened. K10 is going to have to be bigger someday than what it is now. I've lived very close to there on the Lenexa side, which is the north side of K10, since 1999. So we made the move to get outside the 435 loop or the triangle a long time ago, and it was very quiet. We didn't have a grocery store or a gas station or a bank, or we had nothing where I moved other than a golf course, and we kind of liked it that way. And we've watched it grow up over the last 26 years, and there's stuff everywhere. There's an Embassy Suites right across the street from where this would be. I think everybody knows, Johnny's Sports Bar is in there. There's a giant patio furniture place that's in there. There's multiple businesses, and the traffic that goes in and out now with those soccer fields is wild. Okay, those fields really get used, and it has brought more business in. And I think the Chiefs see that as well. I think they're going to wind up star bonding the whole thing. The question is, if you go buy a hot tub, does the sales tax go to the Chiefs? I'm curious about that, and I'm curious if the Star Bond District, where their facilities are drawn, if only that money goes to that facility or if it all goes into one pool to pay for the whole thing. Because the Chiefs will spend hundreds of millions of dollars on their corporate complex, let's call it that, whatever it is. And if they're building an entertainment district around it, we're probably over $1 billion. If they're going to build their own restaurants, a Hall of Fame, I think what would be really cool, I've thought this from the start, I don't know if maybe the Chiefs likes this idea or not, I think there should be an AFL or AFC Hall of Fame. And I think it should be just an ode to Lamar Hunt and the guys that invented the AFL and merged and made the NFL what it is today. I think that would be really cool. It would be an awesome tourist destination. Maybe that belongs better at the Speedway. And my guess would be that the Chiefs, if they're going to build something like Dallas did with the Star, that they'll do that around their stadium and not in Olathe where they practice. The Chiefs, to me, seem pretty buttoned down to want a bunch of people around their practice facility. Dining or doing tours or doing this and bringing teams in. Seems to me like that's something the Chiefs would want at their stadium location, not where they're practicing every day. But I don't know. I don't have any information on that. I just know what their grand plan is. They want everything the Dallas Cowboys have. They want an awesome stadium that can host a Super Bowl, and they want practice facilities and revenue from other businesses outside of football, restaurants, maybe a hotel, all types of different things like the Dallas Cowboys have capitalized on. The Dallas Cowboys basically built a complex, and then the Rangers came, and the Cowboys make money off Rangers games every day. Heck, I don't know. Maybe the Royals are being quiet because they're going out there with the Chiefs, and they're going to let the Chiefs be the landlords of everything that they're going to do. I couldn't say, but I think the headline is it's not signed, sealed, and delivered. They have not put out the team has not put out a statement. There's not been a press release or a full design and disclosure on this. But I think you can sleep well knowing it's 99.9% the Chiefs are moving to Kansas, and they're building a new stadium because obviously you can't move Arrowhead to Kansas. The Royals, you got to go listen to the Ty Masterson interview. It's going to be up on the podcast page. If you didn't hear it this morning, it's going to be up on the podcast page within the next hour or so. So you'll be able to access that anytime today or this weekend. You're going to want to listen to this. Ty Masterson said the statement that came out yesterday where he was quoted as saying that he is, quote, the Royals are, quote, fully committed to the state of Kansas. Now, when you say the Royals are fully committed, that means it's over. It's Kansas. That's what fully committed is. When you get married, you're fully committed. When you sign on to work at a place and sign a contract to work there, you're fully committed. Okay? Fully committed is fully committed. That means Missouri's dead. He walked that back today with Pete Mundo and said his staff got out ahead of him on this. But he didn't say it wasn't true. It was strange. I'll be curious to hear, if you listen to this weekend, whatever his interpretation would be. He didn't say the Royals are out. He said they're not on the docket for Monday. And he didn't say they're not fully committed. He said, well, my staffer put that out. They got ahead of me a little bit. They got out ahead of me a little bit on that. Like, yeah, I wanted to put that statement out, but not yesterday. Like, there's another plan for the statement on the Royals. Yesterday was supposed to be the Chiefs' day, where we were going to let that out of the bag. And then the Royals thing we're going to let out at another time. That's my interpretation, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Ty Masterson's a really interesting guy, and he's got to be the front runner, I think, at this point for governor, because he's making so many headlines around the state of Kansas. But he's got this sort of, I call it, my parents told me this. They're from Paxico and Alma in Kansas, very small towns. And they said there's a plain-spoken nature to true Kansans. Now, I don't consider myself a true Kansan. I'm a Kansan, but I don't see myself as a Kansan. I see myself as a Kansas Citian. I've always seen that. I think if you grow up in this city, you sort of, people say where you're from. I don't say I'm a Kansan. I'm from Kansas City. It's what I say. And there's a certain sensibility and difference to growing up in Kansas City than there is from Alma or Ty Masterson from the Wichita area. He has a plain-spoken nature about him. He will say something and then just stop and not elaborate. It's plain spoken. And he did that on this topic. He said, yeah, my staff got out ahead of me. And Pete asked him, he asked him multiple questions about the Royals. And there was no more information given by Ty Masterson. But my guess of what he was trying to say was, my staff blew it. They weren't supposed to put that statement out yet. That statement was written and Ty knew about it. And there was going to be another day to put that statement out. And it was not yesterday. That's my interpretation of what happened and what Ty Masterson said. But I don't know. I think if the Royals were out in Kansas, they would have said, this news, or they'd be putting a statement out today. We're out in Kansas. We're not going to the meeting Monday. We recognize the deadline's December 31st. We're out. But they haven't done that. And again, all signs point to the Royals at 119th and Null. Now, that's not nearly as done a deal as the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to present and take their offer. That's basically what they're doing on Monday. The Royals, we don't think, are there yet. But December 31st is not that far away. And I think the new chair of this committee, this coordinating council, Dan Hawkins, is coming in. He said this is the deadline. He takes over January 1st. He's like, I'm not negotiating with these teams after this. We need their intentions by December 31st or they're out on the star bonds. The offer is good until the 31st. Tell us your intentions. Then we have 6 months to drop the contract and do the deal. And the Chiefs clearly are meeting that deadline. We'll see if the Royals do that. 913-408-7957. That's 408-7957. What do you think? If you're in Missouri, do you hate this? Does this bother you? Does it change the way you look at these teams? I've never cared that the stadiums were in Missouri, and I don't care that they're in Kansas. I love sports. I'm glad these teams are going to be here. And I've said for 3 years, no teams have ever turned down 70% for a new stadium. So I've thought all along that Kansas was a huge favorite in all of this. It looks like it's coming to fruition. I'd love to hear your thoughts. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Welcome back to the show on a fun Friday. We're taking your calls at 913-408-7957. The Chiefs apparently headed to Kansas, and perhaps the Royals as well. Ty Masterson appearing with Mundo in the Morning this morning right here on KCMO Talk Radio. His only interview anywhere this morning was very good. If you want to listen to the podcast of that, do it after the show. Go ahead and listen to my show and then give it a listen then. Let's go to the phones, and we got Wes in Gladstone. Good morning, Wes. How are you, sir?
Hey, good. So my word to the Chiefs and the Royals is goodbye. Don't let the door hit you in the ass, okay? Because I, as a Missouri taxpayer, because you know there's going to have to be state money involved, I don't want to pay for it, okay? Now, so that people in Kansas City don't feel like they're being picked on by sports teams, the Bears – we're going to build that new stadium in Hoffman Estates, right? Because they bought the old racetrack. Well, they hit a $100 million roadblock from Cook County on property tax abatement, and now they're looking at Indiana. So,
yeah, they were looking at a place called Arlington Heights and thought they had a deal done.
Yeah.
And the state of Illinois said, we're not putting that on our agenda for 2026. They put their agenda out for their sessions, and they said, we're not doing that. I think this is more of a threat by the Bears than anything else. They have a lot longer lease than the Chiefs. I think theirs runs through 32 or 33. So they're just sort of getting started on this. But why not use another state as leverage? If you want to be in Arlington Heights, Illinois, which is where the Bears want to be, why not get an offer from Indiana?
Oh, right. Yeah, no. So we shouldn't feel like we're being picked on by the Chiefs because all the teams do it.
No. And look, a football game's a destination anyway. It doesn't really matter where the Chiefs are in this city. People are going to go to the game, period. Now, the Royals are different. They want people that are nearby. Baseball wants people that are close. I think the first time I heard John Sherman say this was with Pete last year on opening day. Remember, Pete was broadcasting his show from Kauffman Stadium on opening day, and John Sherman was there, and he said that they eased off. They want to be downtown, and he said, we want to build where there's density. That was the new word, where there's population density, and there is certainly that at 119th and Knoll.
Oh, yeah. Good luck trying to build the infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Again, the teams don't care. They just see dollar signs.
Yep.
Good call, Wes. Thank you, buddy.
Okay.
Wes says he will not miss the Royals or Chiefs in Missouri in any way. Steven's in Kansas City, Kansas. Good morning, Steven.
Hey, Kevin, happy holidays.
You too, buddy. Merry Christmas.
You just hit on what my question was going to be, which is the Chiefs will play well wherever you put them, but what will be the difference in attendance? The $64,000 question here with the population density argument. Do you think if the Royals are on the upswing like we think they are, do you think that this is basically the difference from averaging 15,000 to 25 or 30,000 a night? I mean, is that possible with how things are playing out?
The question is always, what will their attendance be 10 years in? Because when you open a new stadium, attendance is going to go through the roof. Everybody's going to go. It's going to be the cool place. Everybody's going to love it. And then it starts to wear off. What will the attendance be 10 years in? Listen, there's no way at 119th and Knoll the attendance is going to be worse than the Truman Sports Complex. Let's be honest. You've got a Denny's that went out of business across the street, and there's millions of visitors a year come in there. There are boarded up windows at the old Adams Mark Hotel. Everything is dead there. I've not thought it was a serious contemplation for the Chiefs from day one. The Royals, at least for their part, said, we're out of here. This is dead to us. So I give them credit for saying that. The Chiefs didn't do that, but they probably should have.
Well, I don't think it matters what the neighbors say, basically, that thing is going in. That seems to be the perfect position at 119th and Knoll. If they're looking for density, if they're looking for the right
clientele,
basically the right kind of customer, they're basically looking for your prime customer. I mean, you can't ask for a better. I don't think it matters the traffic complaints. I don't think any of this. I mean, I hear it on Pete's show all the time that people complain. How are you going to get people in and out? They'll get people
Steve,
in and out of this place.
I've already heard in my friend group, my circle of people, they say over and over and over that they will just take an Uber to the game. That's going to be cheaper than parking. You know what they charge for parking? Imagine the people that live within 3 or 4 miles of that stadium that will just get an Uber. They're going to have a road, a street, and a specific lane for Uber pickups and drop-offs. I'll bet they do 1,000 Ubers a night for each game.
Sure.
And that's going to alleviate a lot. I mean, think about how that alleviates some of the mess.
That's a great idea, and I don't think the problem getting out is going to be a problem at all. I don't think there's that. But the only difficulty they're going to have is trying to get people in and out
in the last 45 minutes. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly, 5:30 or 6. So
good one, buddy.
Kevin, talk to you later.
Okay, buddy. Appreciate your call. I'm up against a hard break here in about 10 seconds, but absolutely right. And at any sporting event, it's always been the same thing. It's always the last 45 minutes before an event starts where the traffic piles up. All right, when we come back, Trump is saving his week. It's getting better. Next. Great to have you back. Great to have you with us on Uncanceled today. Looking forward to the Vince show later. It's a good week for Trump. We'll get into that. Or it's a good finish to the week for Trump after a couple of missteps this week. I will expand on that in just a little bit. We're going back to the phones here in just a moment as well. I want to mention what happened at Brown University. If you have not been following this, last weekend, a crazy person went into a classroom and killed 2 and injured a bunch of others. The Keystone cops couldn't figure out what happened because their cameras didn't work, and they didn't have very many cameras, and they didn't have answers to questions. They didn't know what they were going to do. A day later, a man in Boston that works at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, is murdered in his home. He was like a nuclear physicist on fission, like a really important, smart guy, and he was murdered. And they didn't know what to do, and they didn't know where to look, and all this other stuff. Then yesterday, in a third state, they've been to a murder in Rhode Island, a murder in Massachusetts, and in a third state, in a storage unit, they found this dude dead. And they say, oh, he's responsible for both. And it's probably true, but doesn't it sound like they didn't have any idea who did what and they just made this up? They literally said a homeless man named John cracked the case. John attended an Ivy League school, Brown University, but he's homeless, and they're not giving his last name, and he led us to this guy that's dead in this storage unit. Are we believing all this? I mean, seriously, I'm not saying it's not true, but if you're one of those people that looks at something and goes, these people for a week didn't have any idea what they were doing, and a homeless man led them to a storage unit where a guy had taken his own life, and, well, he can't talk, and we don't know who the homeless guy is. Case is wrapped up. We got a dead guy. This case is solved. Both these cases are solved. Wild. All right, let's go back to the phones. Here's John in Gardner. Welcome to KCMO Talk Radio. John, how are you today?
I'm well, Kevin Keatson. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
So here's my deal. I said Trump had a good week, man. I don't know. I mean, I thought the Rob Reiner thing was like, okay, what?
It was not good.
And then I settled down a little bit, and I can kind of see where he was coming from. But I'm on social media way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just ammo for the lefties. And then this thing with the plaques in the White House.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost think that tops the Rob Reiner thing. So, you know, if they're saying this guy is acting screwy and demented, I love Trump, but I'm starting to believe him a little bit. You know, it's just not looking good right now.
Well, he doesn't obviously care about much what people think about him at this point, and he's doing things that are going to be taken down. Like those plaques are all coming down the second a Democrat is in. In fact, if J.D. Vance becomes president, I'm going to guess J.D. Vance takes him down.
And that's cool. What about the midterms, though? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm
with you, and I didn't think Trump had a good week. I think he's finishing. My commentary here coming up is going to be he's finishing the week strong because it was a bad week. It was unforced errors. The Susie Wiles interview was not good.
Oh, that interview. Yeah. What the hell? That was weird.
Oh, it was 11 interviews, which is crazy because she's the quiet one who apparently doesn't do interviews, but she sat down with them 11 times for one story. That's ridiculous. Then,
especially those guys. I mean, you know, they're wackos. I mean,
right.
You could have asked me. I could have told them that.
I thought Trump's performance of the speech he gave was the worst of his presidency. I didn't think he did a good job at all. And I don't think anybody that's not tuned into politics took anything away from that. I think he rushed it. It was too fast. He got lost on the teleprompter. He was sort of angry and defensive. I didn't understand any of that. He had a bad week, but he is finishing it strong. I've got more on that coming up.
I don't know how you figure that unless it's giving, you know, extra 2 days for Christmas for the federal employees. But
there you go.
If that's it or not. But anyway, hey, I like what you guys are doing. I wish you a very Merry holiday.
Merry Christmas, John. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. Here's Mark in Shawnee. Hi, Mark. What's up?
Hi, Kevin. I just can't believe this. You know, I agree with what you said. The left is devoid of facts. That mayor, he looks like Donald Duck. I mean, these guys are a bunch of fools. That's the left. That's the liberal left. They can't deal with the real things about life. I mean, the hard facts and the hard things. So they live in this alternate reality. Like I said, they just have no clue, and they throw this garbage up there and they see if it sticks. And it's just sad to think that these people are being elected. I'm not putting out any more money to other districts because you can't control how these people think. They're loons.
Yeah, you're talking about the people in Rhode Island, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, you can't make this story up. They find a dead guy in a storage shed in a third state from the 2 states he committed murders in that are apparently unrelated, and a homeless guy tipped him off, and that's it. The case is closed. Oh, okay, I believe that. Yeah. So, yeah.
And, you know, Kevin, here's the sick thing, is this is another immigrant that came through some process. And the papers, the liberal left, wants you to believe that, we're ruining this guy's ability to defend himself and all the other illegal immigrants that are here, and we can't do this. We got to welcome with open arms, and this is just something that happens. It's just life. It just happens.
Good one, Mark. I appreciate you, man. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
Take care. Yes, and that's where Trump's having a good finish to the week. They are suspending the green card lottery. If you don't know what this is, it's literally called the Diversity Immigrant Program. It's for dips. Diversity Immigrant Program is your green card lottery. So this dude that took his own life after committing these murders came to America in 2000 as a student. Then he came back in 2017 and he won the green card lottery for diversity. Okay? And he attained permanent status. That did not make him a citizen, but he got permanent residence in America through this. And Trump has suspended that program. It's getting a thorough review at this point, which is great. Trump also said yesterday that, and this was the best part, this was the best moment of the week for Trump. They're grilling him over Venezuela. You know, the media doesn't like blowing up the drug boats. They didn't like seizing the oil ship, the tanker, and they don't like the blockade around Venezuela. And they're arguing you can't do anything, Trump, without Congress. Well, that's a joke because Obama had like 275 drone strikes in the Middle East that he didn't get correct congressional approval for. They were like, he set the record for drone strikes, okay? We didn't get congressional approval to go drop those bombs from Whiteman on the nuclear facility in Iran. This is ridiculous. It's been tested and tested and tested. There are executive authority powers that the president has. He said, I'm not taking this to Congress. If I want to go into Venezuela, I'm going to do it. And they said, well, why wouldn't you just go to the House and get him to pass it? He goes, the House leaks like a sieve. And he's right. Trump can't say anything to anyone of what his intentions are, except for maybe Susie Wiles, Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, the people very closest to him. It needs to be the tightest circle. It is obvious, even as a lot of his own people will leak stuff. And I thought that was his best moment. Reinforce to America, we need a president that doesn't say what they're doing. You need to be unpredictable. You need to be agile. I trust him on Venezuela. I think they're going to break that regime economically, but there may be a special ops thing that takes place if they find out what Maduro is or something like that. Like he said he was talking to Maduro. At some point, Maduro is going to say, I'm surrounded. This is collapsing. What can you do for me? Can I go live in Russia? Can I have $1 billion? Whatever. And I'm out of here and you can have your own elections and I'm gone. Maybe that will happen. So I think he's finishing the week strong. And this played out last night on CNN when the panel was talking about the inflation rate yesterday of 2.7% and the fact that for the month it was only 0.1, which would annualize at 1.2%, which is a ridiculously great number. These were really good numbers. Okay? Doesn't mean it's permanent, but for right now, they're good numbers. Even on CNN, they said last night, one of their analysts said, there's no other way to spin it. This is fantastic. And they tried. Goodness knows they try to spin things, but they couldn't. Chris is with us on KCMO, calling from Leawood. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
So between those inflation numbers and the fact that I just bought gasoline for $2.53 a gallon, filled up my tank for $40, I think that trumps every media narrative. Rob Reiner, Susie Wiles, anything. The inflation numbers need to be discussed. The price of gasoline is going down. If it continues to go down and stays stabilized, that's a win for Trump every single minute of every single day.
I agree. And you know what I would do going forward if I were the Trump administration? I was thinking about this the other day. You know, we look at these different states and they say, how much does it cost gas in which state? It's mostly just based on taxes. Some of it is distance from the refinery and shipping and transportation, things like that. But mostly it's just taxes. Like it's more expensive in New York. It's more expensive in Hawaii. It's more expensive in California. They got big taxes in these places. I think what Trump should do going forward when they talk about gas prices is the pre-tax gas price is X. And then let everyone in every state go, holy crap, how much of every gallon am I paying tax to? I think they should do it pre-tax. Here's what a gallon of gas costs before you get ripped off.
Right. I mean, sure. I mean, that sounds great. But the inflation numbers, Trump, as I'm a Trump supporter, and he has outperformed my wildest expectations in his first year. It's almost beyond belief. And I will say that the Rob Reiner situation, the meathead situation, is tragic and should never have happened to anyone. But you're talking about somebody, Kevin, if somebody insulted you publicly, and the entire city they did insulted you publicly for decades and was calling you a Nazi and every other horrible thing, because Rob Reiner is the tip of that spear. I mean, no wonder Trump had some words for him or what didn't sound too sympathetic. I mean, everyone, it's amazing that a storyteller as good as Rob Reiner was so politically divisive. And it's a tragedy how he lost his life.
It is. It's horrible. And look, the better thing to do, because it wouldn't have gone away, at some point he would have been asked about it more. The better thing to do would have been post what a terrible thing, has happened Our thoughts and prayers to everyone in the Reiner family. And I know we had our differences, but rest in peace. Something like that. Now, 6 weeks from now, sitting down in an interview, if it comes back up, blast away and say, this guy was a real a-hole. And he worked with Brennan and Clapper and operatives in the Obama administration trying to take me out. He tried to get me impeached. He was helping people raid my house, all of this stuff. Reiner was a political operative. He was not a director.
Absolutely.
But you do that 6 weeks down the road.
Right. Well, Trump hasn't got a lot of time. He does things when they need to be done.
You're right.
He addressed it once and it's done.
Well, he clearly hated the man. That's pretty obvious. Yep.
Well, I guess they had it for each other.
There you go. Oh, you live in Leawood. What do you think about the Royals 119th and Null? You good with that or bad?
I think it's stupid. I'm North Kansas City all the way.
North Kansas City all the way. Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your call. Have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
All right. Outstanding stuff. Great calls today on KCMO Talk Radio. Really, really nice and thoughtful opinions. Good stuff. All right, we're going to check in with Mark next. Our dead stone cold locks are coming up and more on KCMO. Mark and I are trying to wrap our heads around this Puka Nacua controversy. He plays for the Los Angeles Rams, who had one of the more thrilling games of the NFL season last night. They lost in overtime, controversially, after a replay review of an incomplete pass was ruled to be a backwards pass, that the ball was just lying in the end zone, and a Seahawks player picked up to give to the referee. By picking it up, he scored a 2-point conversion and didn't know it. So it was a weird game. Nacua is an outstanding player for the Rams, and the day before, he was embroiled in controversy because he live-streamed an event with an MMA fighter who did some sort of a celebration when he wins a fight where he shows his muscles like, you've seen the strong man lifts, I'm flexing my muscle, and then rubs his hands together. And apparently, this is brand new to me. Somehow that's anti-Semitic. Or this fighter has been known to be anti-Semitic, and that's his move, so it's become that. I don't know which. And he had Puka Nacua do that in a live stream, and Nacua came out and said, hey, listen, I had no idea this had anything to do with religion or anything, and I think I believe him. That was the controversy before the game, right, Mark?
Yeah, that happened the day before the game, and this fighter was trying to get him to do that if he scored a touchdown. Hey, you got to do this dance if you score a touchdown.
Was teaching it to him.
Yeah. So he didn't realize, I don't think, what was going on.
I think he had no clue.
Yeah.
Did he do it? He didn't do it last night in the game.
No. He apologized before the game.
Right.
Even. Yeah.
So the guy's already in trouble with his head coach and his teammates for bringing controversy to the team that didn't need to happen. But I do think he didn't know. After the game, because of that weird play that happened and other things, Nacua just rips the officiating on Twitter. And then the head coach is asked about it in the postgame news conference. He said, I can't answer a question about something I don't know about. I have no idea what you're talking about. I haven't seen it. It was deleted that he ripped at the refs, but apparently it was a really wild tweet, correct?
Yeah. I saw it. I didn't realize it was deleted. I didn't get a screen grab.
What did it say? Was it vile?
It was basically just, the refs cost another game. And earlier in the week, he actually was talking about how the refs try to make it about themselves. So he had said something about the refs earlier in the week, and then he comes out after the game with that tweet. That's a bad look.
Was it vulgar? Were there curse words?
No.
Okay, so it was just critical of the refs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, tense situation. The Rams were, I think, heading into last night's game, thought to be the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now they have trouble winning their division because they lost the Seahawks. Both teams were 11-3 coming in, right?
Yep.
And your Seahawks got it done.
That's right.
So you'll be proud of me. I had an event last night at an event space called the Jewel KC downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And we got out of there pretty early. And so we watched the end of the game, and I hadn't put any bets in on FanDuel. And I got home, and I'm like, look at this. I like this. I think, well, first of all, the score was I believe it was at 30. Was it 17-13 at one point? And I think there was a mistake in the algorithm because the game total at that point with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter was only 46.5. I'm like, that's too good to be true.
Yeah.
So I pounded the in-game over.
Yeah.
Then I said, then the Rams scored and the Seahawks were down 10 and the Seahawks became plus 380. And I said, I'm taking that. I've watched this team this year. I've seen them at home. I hit them both, buddy.
That's good. I love it.
Imagine if I'd have parlayed them.
Hey, anytime you can get something plus money during the game, that's good.
Well, Seattle fans are pretty good. That's a tough place to play in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a good football team. And it can be done. We've been down on the Chiefs this week a lot because of what's happened. But let's not forget the Chiefs were the worst team in football, and Andy Reid showed up. Did they win their first 9 games that year?
Yeah, they started out 9-0.
Yeah, they signed Alex Smith, and they won their first 9 games after being the worst team in the league. So I know I've been a bummer on, hey, don't expect the Chiefs to be great next year, and I still don't. But part of it is the division so hard. the Chargers and Broncos are going to be good again next year. And I just think it's going to be a really difficult situation. But don't quit on that, because look at these teams that have popped up this year. Seattle's become very good very quickly after the Pete Carroll era ended.
Yep.
The Patriots out of nowhere.
The Bears
out of nowhere. I mean, I got people telling me the Bears are just going to destroy the Packers this week. You buying that?
I could see that. Micah Parsons out. I believe one of their wide receivers is hurt again, Christian Watson. So, yeah.
I have watched the Bears play, and they just don't strike me as that team that is so great they're going to just blow people out.
I guess they did it to the Browns last weekend, but Packers are different.
All right, before we get to our dead stone cold locks of the week brought to you by FanDuel, it should be mentioned that Missouri has lost its quarterback for their bowl game next week. Bo Prabula is transferring and out. Now, he probably didn't have a future at Missouri next year, and so they probably weren't going to pay him much money. And the schools that want him to transfer and pay him do not want him playing in that bowl game and risking getting hurt. This is what college football is. Does it just kind of make you sick what college football has become?
Yeah, they need to change it so there's no transfers till after January 15th or something like that.
Zoller's the freshman will play, and he may be the guy next year.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's Horn. I think Horn is going to go play baseball for the Dodgers. You know he has a 98-mile-an-hour fastball?
No, I did not know.
Oh, yeah. He signed a contract last summer with the Dodgers for like $600,000, but then was going to play football. But he can still go do that and play. He's property of the Dodgers, and they think that he might with only 1 year left. There's also a possibility Missouri will hire a new offensive coordinator that brings his own quarterback. That's a new trend in college football, and the OC position is open. All right, Mark, I'm going to go with Villanova plus 2.5. I'm going to ride that wave with Frank Bowl and Pete Mundo, the Villanova Wildcats, as my stone cold lock. What you got?
I like it. I'm going to go with the other game. I'm going to say Montana State. Taco Dowler, the wide receiver for Montana State. He's going to be in there getting touchdowns, and Montana State covers minus 4.5.
You're telling me Montana State has a player named Taco?
Yes.
Does he do a taco dance?
He has to. I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
I mean, the players, when they score, they're like a bowl of soup, like I got to eat. He needs to hold his hand and turn his head sideways and crunch on
Eat
that
the
taco.
Let's go.
You got me hungry for tacos. Woo, good stuff. Hey, thanks for listening all week long here to Uncanceled and Mundo in the Morning. We appreciate you listening to KCMO Talk Radio. Have a great weekend, everybody. The Vince Show is coming up.